Level 1. The new Analyst. You start in a windowless building on a base in Nebraska. The walls hum with air conditioning and classified servers. Your badge still feels new and wrong on your chest. You sit at a desk in a secure room, headset on, eyes on screens full of maps, numbers, and acronyms. You do not touch missiles or submarines. You touch data, satellite tracks, sensor feeds, intelligence summaries. Your job is to notice small things. A launch test from a foreign range, an unusual pattern of aircraft, a missing radar track where one should be. You write reports no one outside this world will ever read. Senior officers skim them in seconds. You learn fast that precision matters. One wrong number in a range estimate, one sloppy word in an assessment, and you can cause confusion far above your pay grade. You double-check everything. You go home exhausted and invisible. From the outside, it looks like an office job. Inside, you know every line you type connects to nuclear weapons and global war plans. Level 2. The watch officer. You move to the watch floor. The room never sleeps. Large screens show the world at once. Maps with tracks from satellites, radars, and early warning systems. A phone rings somewhere in the room almost every minute. The clock on the wall is always set to Zulu time. You sit at a console as a watch officer. You monitor your slice of the mission, missile warning, space domain, bomber status, or global strike forces. When an alert pops, you do not panic. You follow checklists. Most alerts are false or harmless. Sensor glitches, civilian rockets, things you learn to recognize. A few are not. Those are the ones that make your throat dry. You learn the drills, the exact words you must say when you call higher headquarters in the middle of the night. You learn who answers on the other end, a colonel, a general, sometimes someone at the national command level. You live on coffee and adrenaline. You understand that if the wrong combination of lights turns red, the next minutes will change history. You hope you will never see that pattern outside of exercises. Level 3. The nuclear missile crew member. You go underground. You are assigned to an ICBM wing. Your duty station is not glamorous. You spend long shifts in a hardened launch control center buried under fields in the middle of the country. A blast door seals you in with another officer. You sit in front of console panels older than you, covered in switches and keys. You drill procedures over and over, authenticate orders, confirm codes, work through emergency checklists until your hands know the steps in the dark. You know the missiles you control can reach across the world. You never see them. They sit in silos miles away, hidden under concrete lids. You monitor status lights and hope they stay green and boring. Above you, the wind blows through empty planes. Down here, you train yourself not to think about what turning those keys would mean. You think about the procedure instead. That is how you stay sane. Level 4. The Bomber Squadron Officer. You return to the surface, but the stakes stay heavy. You serve in a bomber wing tied into STRATCOM's nuclear and conventional plans. Your aircraft spends hours in the air carrying weapons that never drop. You fly long routes that trace invisible lines in global strategy, through corridors agreed on by diplomats, near places where other great powers pay close attention. You practice refueling in the night, low-level approaches, and precise navigation. Most missions end with a safe landing and paperwork. A few end with debriefs where people ask specific questions about radar signals, interceptors, or how closely foreign aircraft shadowed you. You understand your role in deterrence is simple and brutal. You show the world you are ready, so no one wants to force you to prove it. Level 5. The Space Operations Officer. You move into the quiet war above the atmosphere. You work with satellites, tracking their orbits, monitoring potential threats, watching for debris, tests, or strange maneuvers. Your screen shows objects as symbols moving around the Earth, dots with long histories and classified tags. You care about things most people never think about. Early warning satellites that detect launches, GPS birds that guide civilian cars and military missiles, communication satellites that keep scattered forces talking. You see foreign tests that create clouds of fragments. You adjust orbits to protect critical assets. You write assessments that say what a new launch means and who should worry. You know that if someone blinds or breaks the wrong satellite, everything else STRATCOM does gets harder. Space looks empty from the ground. To you, it feels crowded and fragile. Level 6. The STRATCOM Planner. You step into the world of plans with no room for guesswork. You work at headquarters, inside a secure planning cell. Your walls are covered in maps and target sets. Your computer holds war plans with layers of classification. You spend your days thinking about scenarios everyone hopes never happen. You build options, nuclear and conventional, for different crises. How forces move, which bombers launch, which submarines adjust patrols, how space and cyber tools fit into the first hours of a conflict. You balance military effectiveness with political realities, collateral damage estimates, treaty limits, and what allies will tolerate. Lawyers stand over your shoulder more often than you once expected. You know your work goes up to people who sit in briefings with the president. You also know those people sometimes have only a few minutes to understand years of planning. You learn to make complexity simple without making it wrong. Level 7. The Flag Officer. You make decisions that move fleets. You sit in secure video conferences with other commanders, giving orders, approving posture changes, and explaining risks. You spend your time in meetings, but these meetings decide where ballistic missile submarines patrol, how bomber wings posture, how space and cyber units prioritize targets. You sign deployment orders that send people away from their families for months. When a test launch happens overseas or a satellite behaves strangely, your phone rings, day or night. You decide if this is a note in a report, a quiet adjustment, or a briefing that must go to the very top. You feel the weight of deterrence in every briefing. If you misjudge, you either look weak or start a crisis. Both can cost lives. Level 8. The Commander of US STRATCOM. You sit at the top of the most destructive force humans have built. Your office is inside a modern command complex, full of screens and secure lines. You oversee the nuclear triad, bombers, submarines, and land-based missiles, plus much of the nation's space and strategic cyber operations. You brief the President and the Secretary of Defense on the status of forces. You recommend how many warheads the country needs, which systems must be modernized, and how to respond to new weapons from other nations. You sign off on changes to alert levels. You approve exercises that send bombers and submarines into patterns other countries watch closely. You stand ready to execute orders that, if ever given in full, would end cities. You spend most of your time trying to make sure no one ever gives those orders. You focus on clarity, so adversaries never misread your posture as weakness or aggression. The paradox of your job is simple. The better you do it, the less anyone notices. You go home at night knowing you did everything you could to keep forces ready, signals clear, and war unthinkable. You also know that if the worst day comes, your command will stand in the first line of decisions that cannot be undone.